What is up, Planeswalkers? Theorix6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Don't forget to head on over to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal, and it helps support the channel. Today, we're playing a sweet, fun deck. As you can tell, this is still not Red-White Prison. I still haven't gotten the gem snafu fixed yet, so we're going on to the next one. And people wanted to see an Elenda, the Dark Rose Aristocrats deck. So essentially what this is like Abzan Aristocrats. That's what I'm going to call the deck. Unfortunately, the fact that we don't have a free sack outlet like Yahenni really makes this deck struggle, because it has to play a little bit more like your typical like mid-rangey deck, as opposed to being able to play things like something that I tried to play was Hunted Witness, right? It has to play a little bit more of an actual mid-range strategy and benefit off of Poison Tip Archer and Elenda, as opposed to if you did have sack outlets, then you can control when your things are going to die a lot easier. So you would be able to play things like Hunted Witness, things like massive token generation, but unfortunately we aren't able to do that. I do hope that in Ravnica Allegiance we will get a mono black free sack outlet. The reason I want mono black is because I also would like Jund to have the same treatment, so that Jund can also have an interesting sack variant, aristocrat variant like Abzan does. But I was hoping that it would be in Golgari, but we have Golgari, and of course we don't have that. So here's hoping to the future that this deck might actually get some nice tools. But for now, the list that we ended up settling on looks a bit like this. Now, we have a little bit of mana ramp with Llanowar Elves. As I said, I did try Hunted Witness, but for whatever reason, I was finding that the mana situation wasn't great, even with 24 lands, so I decided to throw in the Llanowar Elves, and of course, these are things that are really fine to sacrifice to any of our sack outlets. Merfolk Branchwalker is a card that allows us to fix our draws a little bit better, and if we end up drawing into lands, that it does mean that we are having one fewer lands to draw into in the future. District Guide. This initially was actually History of Benalia, but I wanted to alleviate my mana issues, as well as I was finding that the decks I was coming up against were too strong, right? The deck matchmaking system, because I do think this is currently only like suited for best of one fun, I was finding that History of Benalia was making my deck rating too high, and it wasn't one of the cards that were necessary for the deck. Where something like Tristani and Izoni were a little bit better. Same with Vraska. Those things play a little bit more of a key role. I decided to cut out History of Benalia and throw in District Guides, and District Guides help us maintain our good mana situation. In addition, once you've used them, you can go ahead and get rid of the card. Then we have a few value options. We have 3 Burglar Rats. This is just a nice card to force our opponent to do annoying things. If we're able to turn 2 Burglar Rat into turn 3 Journey, into turn 4 sack it with Vraska, or sack it with Plaguecrafter or something like that, then we're getting so much extra value off of our Burglar Rats. And if we do end up getting a Journey to Eternity to flip, then we can just keep getting Burglar Rats, and forcing your opponent to discard a ton is really great. Militia Bugler is a card that I have in my actual Abzan midrange list, and I've just grown to love this card. I believe everything except for Plaguecrafter and Torgaar it can get, every creature. So it's just very nice to have something where you can dig into your deck and get better things. It also is a decent body against these super aggressive decks. Journey to Eternity, again, only playing 2 of these. I would love to play more, but because we don't have free sack outlets, it is a little bit harder to guarantee the flip. So we're only running 2, and it is a legend, so you can't have 2 of them at once, and it is a mandatory flip, so you could theoretically flip a second one, but I would much rather wait, because our opponent could destroy our Etzel with a Field of Ruin or something like that. But being able to have double ETB triggers or get back our creatures late in the game is really helpful. Vicious Offering is kind of like our pièce de résistance for this deck. It allows us to kill a large array of creatures using our other creatures, and it triggers both our Poison Tip Archer and Elenda, so it's very nice. That said, I'm only running 2 of them because as I said, I found that there's just not enough reason to be running cards that have value of being sacrificed themselves, like Hunted Witness, because we don't have a permanent way to continually sack. So I couldn't put those cards in, and if I did have those cards in, then cards like Vicious Offering would be a lot easier to justify at a higher number. But as it is right now, I think this is kind of the best that the deck can do, and the best that the deck wants to do. A lot better of a card is Plaguecrafter, because 1, it deals with Planeswalkers as well, And 2, it can deal with very large creatures like Carnage Tyrant, and if your opponent isn't playing any creatures, whereas Vicious Offering is going to be pretty dead, Plaguecrafter still allows you to get a discard on your opponent, which is very nice. Vraska, Golgari Queen, very, very important in this deck. Being able to sacrifice your own creatures to gain life and draw a card is fantastic. The fact that it has some sort of removal on there is very nice. It can get rid of flyers. As you can see, we do only have Poison Tip Archer as our like ways to deal with flyers in the main deck, other than like our Vicious Offering Plaguecrafter. But being able to kill things like Resplendent Archangel or whatever her name is very nice. And of course, if you do end up getting the -9, then you're going to quickly be able to overrun your opponent. Elenda and Poison Tip Archer are kind of like the reasons we're running this deck. One, Elenda has an amazing animation, and it's really sad that she's like just too weak to see a ton of play. She is a Vampire Knight for what it's worth, so if you are looking to play an Abzan or even just a Black-White Knights deck, you can consider putting her in. I think she's a really cool card. Unfortunately, of course, she's a Mythic, which means it's going to be a little bit difficult to justify crafting for her, because as I said, she's just unfortunately not as strong as I would prefer. Even if she started as a base 2/2, I think she would be just that bit more playable, but the fact is right now, she is very hard to justify. That said, giving certain circumstances, you can get her to be really insane. And you are able to just proc Elenda by playing another Elenda and sacrificing one or the other, depending on what exactly you want. If you want one of them to grow, or if you want one to burst into a bunch of soldiers. I don't know how that flavor works out, but it's really cool. Her art is just lovely. Chris Rahn did a fantastic job. And as I said, the animation for this is awesome. I hope we get to see it. Poison Tip Archer, whereas Elenda is kind of a go wide strategy that tries to gain your life back, Poison Tip Archer is the card that tries to kill your opponent. Poison Tip Archer has Death Touch, which is fantastic. It means that if we have to, we can block a stupidly large creature. And in addition, your opponent is going to be a little bit wary about wiping your board if they are going to lose a bunch of life. The fact that you can get it with Militia Bugler is very helpful. The fact that you are able to get it back with Journey to Eternity means that even if your opponent does get rid of it, it's going to be a thorn in their side. Ahaha, poison, thorns, roses. It's hilarious. I'm funny. Moving on to kind of our high-end, Tristani Discordant helps a lot by getting a large number of bodies and making our weak creatures, because we are running relatively weak creatures, gives them a nice boost. The fact that it also is gotten by Militia Bugler is fantastic. Izoni is another sack outlet. That's really the big reason why we're running her in this deck. She allows us to control when we sacrifice cards, and she gives us other creatures to sacrifice. Just a very strong all-around card. Again, gets caught by Militia Bugler. Torgaar, I wanted to play Torgaar, darn it. I've had Saplings on the channel before that came really close to playing Torgaar. I've had the Jund version that also didn't play Torgaar, and I just wanted to play Torgaar. Torgaar probably is not something that you necessarily should be playing, especially if you're not running the like the Hunted Witnesses and the Sapling token generator, whose name I can't remember right now, but who cares? But it's still a fun card to play, and the fact that it puts the player to 10 in this format at least actually has come in handy. In some of my practice games, I've been at like 4, and I've played Torgaar in order to gain 6 life, right? That's not an insignificant thing. Against some opponents, you are going to set their life total to 10, but the fact that it can gain you life is not insignificant. And you can just play it as an 8-drop, or sacrifice one creature and play it as a 6-drop. You know, that is something that you can do. This is our mana base. It would be nice to have the white-black lands, but white is kind of our splash, as you can see here, so we didn't need too much white sources. That's why we're only running 3 isolated chapels. Don't know if this is like perfect. The meta base situation has always been not one of my strong suits, so that's one of the weaker things. But I have done a lot of practicing with this deck, luckily, and it has done well. I will say one of the decks that it has a really hard time beating is it Drakes. So if you're finding that you're coming up against Is It Drakes a lot, feel free to modify the deck to try and fight back against that. Going up against Aura Storm here. Yeah, hopefully they're not Is It Drakes. But the deck does have an okay time beating pretty much everything else. Unfortunately, we don't have our white source here, but we can do some decent things, so we'll keep. And we are going second. Let's see what our opponent is on. Guildmage's Forum, interesting. One of the other decks that was tied with this deck was a Guildgate deck, and I'm not entirely sure what I'll be able to do with a Guildgate deck, because really the only benefit right now of playing any Guildgates is like the mill Guildgate deck. If there are any specific gate decks that people know about, feel free to let me know. Because as of right now, I'm totally fine playing Guildgate Mill, but as of right now, that's the only one that I know about. So it looks like my opponent is on Boros Mentor. And I will totally block that Banneret. The reason I played Burglar Rat first is I figured my opponent was playing a relatively aggressive deck, so we want to get as rid of their creatures as possible. Very interesting use of Guildmage's Forum. Respectable for sure. So I really don't want my opponent to be able to utilize Boros Challenger here. But I also want to be able to get out my Branchwalker. So if it's a land, that's fine, because then we can... Oh no, we already played a land this turn, didn't we? Darn. So if it's a land, then at the very least we can block Goblin Banneret with it. If it's not a land, then we can double block the Boros Challenger unless they play a white source and activate it. So I think this is still fine. It's not the strongest of plays, but yeah, so we did already play that. But this does mean that we are going to be able to play a land next turn, and that is going to be helpful. Let me rearrange my hand real quick. Alright, cool. Alright, so my opponent doesn't have white to activate this. Yeah, because it costs... Yeah. Sure. Luckily, Vicious Offering does still kill that. Alright, so I can't double block on the Challenger, but I can block the Banneret and kill it. And I don't need to chump the Challenger just yet. So, that's totally fine. And here, I think what I want to do here is play out the Vraska. Kill the Swiftly Vindicator, because that's trample. So now, unless my opponent has like haste, I can protect my Vraska. I can just chump with my Burglar Rats, you know. So things are potentially going well. Uh-oh, more white. Hammer Dropper, sure. Hammer Dropper is a large boy. But it is something that we can deal with. Journey to Eternity would have been nice to see earlier. So here... Here, I think that I play the Overgrown Tomb. Tapped. And play Elenda. The reason I think I play Elenda is because Elenda can block, and I'll still have a creature. Is that correct? Because I want to be able to get my Journey to Eternity out. And then I can cast Izoni from the flip Journey. No, because Vraska is going to die. But I would be able to Journey into Vicious Offering. I still think that was correct. I don't think I sacrifice anything, though. I'm not sure about the lack of sack. Theoretically, it could have sacked. If they double up on Vraska, I can just let her die. Let her live when the sun comes out tomorrow. I don't know. That's like Hootie and the Blowfish or something. All right, so he does double up. No reason to lose Elenda here. So I think I do just let her go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and Journey up on Elenda. This doesn't have trample. This can get bigger. But it's already relatively large. I'm just not entirely sure what... I honestly think Swiftblade Vindicator is still, like, the hardest thing to deal with. Because it has double strike and trample. But I wouldn't need to sacrifice anything. It's a little greedy to not sacrifice Elenda here and now. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an impasse. What exactly we want to offering and whether or not we want to just get the trigger here on Journey. And I think I just don't want to leave anything up to chance, really. So I think I will get rid of Vindicator and I will sack Elenda. Elenda's going to get me a creature. And she'll come back, which is nice. Oh, and she gets buffed. I totally forgot about that. So theoretically, we can double block the Hammer Dropper. I did forget that she would get a buff, that she would see that. Opponent still playing things out. Yeah, so our Boros challenge is going to get larger, but I do think it's correct to double up here. Because then I'll have 2 tokens. I'll gain 2 life back. So I'm only going to take a net 3. Izoni will be larger, so I can just play Izoni next turn. Or I can just play Poison Tip Archer and do some nice blocking here. Tristani is also nice. Let's see, if I do this, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 power on board. If I play Tristani, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 power on board. So I'll be able to more easily kill a challenger. So I think I'm actually going to do Tristani here. And as you can kind of see, the deck is playing a little bit more like a normal, like Abzan midrange deck, as opposed to an Aristocrats deck. And that is unfortunate. And it's really entirely because we don't have a sack outlet yet, like Yahenni. Run in almost all the challengers. Yep. So here, I think I am just going to block the heck out of this. I don't think I need to block that. Arguably, I could have gotten rid of Tristani as well. But didn't really see a need. So I can get Elenda out, actually, end of turn. And I think I might want to do that, or do it. So, I mean, it's really, really difficult to know what exactly I should do here. Should I get Elenda back out, or should I play Izoni? 2, 4. This can make that a 4, 5. I think I'd rather play out Izoni. And swoop. Because we're pretty much at a point now that it's going to be hard for my opponent to come back from this. Alright, so they can actually buff one of the Boros challengers. Because guild mages, they have enough mana to do so. So I do need to keep that in mind when I go to block. But I'm fine throwing away like my entire board because I have another Izoni. So this is 3. That's 7. So that kills that, and triple block this one too, because this one could go up to 6 power. Or 6 toughness by buffing it. So I'm going to go and do that. Theoretically, we get rid of their entire board. I don't care if they destroy my board, because I can just get Izoni back. For the same cost. I don't even have to cast the one in my hand. Obviously, it would be better if I had Poison Tip Archer out and Elenda, but I don't, because technically this is just a better line of play, but there it is. I mean, we have a really nice board position here, and I'm just going to start attacking because end of turn I can just get any of my things back. Woo! This is definitely a more casual deck, but after yesterday being a very competitive deck, figure might as well play a nice competitive deck. Or casual deck, whoops. I still want to be able to play the White-Red Prison, and it was the one that was voted highest by my patrons, but arena support is slow. Alright, going against Nustis. Why haven't we drawn our hand yet? Alright, there we go. This is good. We can turn 2 Burglar Rat into turn 3 Journey into turn 4 Offering. I do wish we were going first. Depending on what colors my opponent is playing, it could be bad, but they're on green. So, potentially not going to interrupt my plan too hard. They could have enchantment removal, but I'm hoping that they don't. Green-red, interesting. Are you playing the Wayward Swordtooth deck? Alright, they didn't have anything. I do hope that they're not playing Nullhide Ferox. That is one thing that can happen when you're playing this deck. Don't you dare have Nullhide Ferox. Okay. Interesting. Song of Frailties. In a red-green deck. I guess this is ramp of some sort. Hallar! Ooh! Kicker. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this Burglar Rat. And I'll not attack. My opponent might want to attack, and I might as well block some of the damage. I do hope, like, there's obviously a risk here that my opponent gets rid of the Journey. Don't you dare have main deck enchantment hate. Don't you dare. Obviously, if they do, I can still just play... Ooh, okay then. They did not have anything. I'm going to attack first, see if my opponent does anything. Alright, so I guess here I'm actually going to Vraska and plus. It's more mana efficient. Obviously she could die, but with Journey, I'm not too worried about it. Ooh, got a Bugler. Yeah, so this should be okay. Get to force them to discard again. Got Burglar Rat to block. Cool. Got some good things potentially. Vraska could die, but you know, Keslavai and whatnot. Interesting. Alright, she's dead. Right, that's 8 damage. I can only block one of it, so I'm just going to go and let her sleep. And then this gets sacked end of turn, right? Yeah. Incredibly rude. How dare you. Green, green, black, black, black. Let's play another black source, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I can Archer here. I think I just Archer into murder Hallar. I guess I'll attack first. Almost hit past turn on accident. But we're going to go ahead and make it so he can't get any value here. Awesome. And now we can start getting back Burglar Rats. So what, 6 total lands to tap? So it'd be my entire turn. So what I'm doing here is I want my opponent to attack me so that I can get the Burglar Rat back, get the discard trigger on them, and so that's horrifying. And have it still die so that I can get it back again. But Carnage Tyrant is a little scary. That said, Poison Departure has Death Touch, which is exactly what I brought up in my DeckTech. They decided not to attack, which is fair. But we didn't waste our turn because we can still get this back. Ooh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think here I sacked the Burglar Rat and played Bugler. I guess I theoretically could have played Bugler first.
Everyone is expendable except me.
Well, I do have Llanowar Elves, and this does tap for any color, which is very nice. Go ahead and take the Branchwalker, play out the Llanowar Elf, and we're sitting pretty. We have an active Vraska. They do have an active Beast Whisper, and since it has 4 CMC, we can't just kill it with Vraska, which is unfortunate, but we can potentially just outvalue them over the course of the game and not worry too much about them trying to outvalue us. Don't you dare kill my... You monster! That said, I can just get it back. I can easily just block with the Militia Bugler. They're attacking my face. Do I block with the Bugler then? I don't think so. I'm not at all frightened of that. So let's play out the Branchwalker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Sure. Let's go ahead and get this back. And honestly, we have plenty of land at this point. Let's go ahead and blow up some land. Cool. Tristani's nice. I mean, I could attack with Militia Bugler, but no reason to risk it. And Tristani's going to help with life gain, just in case. This is 3 CMC, so I can go ahead and blow that up. Yep, my opponent realized that they couldn't really do anything. If they attack, I triple block and just have no damage lost on Vraska, and I can blow this up. She is close to ult or at ult, I don't remember. But I had a situation in which they couldn't really do anything. So yeah, this deck works against other non-tiered decks. It's okay against aggro, actually, which I was surprised by. But Elenda really helps with the left leak. The fact that her tokens have it as well is really nice. Yeah, this is fine. So I can Woodland Cemetery turn 1, Plains, Branchwalker, Chapel, Disregard. Yeah, that seems good. Probably get a Forest with the Disregard. Makes sense. Opponent on white-black of some sort. Oh, and we can turn 4 Vraska. Another Chapel. So, potentially on Vamps. Knights, okay. Knights is harder. But I can double block this situation. Yeah, so if they attack, I probably will just double block. But Vraska can kill these ones. She can't kill the other one. Profane Procession. Ooh, I like it. My opponent could have attacked there, because I wouldn't have been able to deal with that. I think I actually have to get rid of Profane Procession, unfortunately. I guess I don't have to do it just yet. But do I can't, like, minus on the Knight of Malice. No, so I think what I do is I minus on the Profane Procession. They attack me, I chump. Then the following turn I get to play Tristani. And Tristani should theoretically be enough to deal some nice damage. Ooh, Aerial, alright. Yeah, they're really not keen on letting me do anything here. We're gonna plus, and we're actually gonna plus on the forest, the plains, because we have the temple. I mean, we obviously want more mana with the Izoni. We need to kill Aerial somehow. This deck was running some Conclave Tribunals initially, but I ended up cutting them for room. It's possible that Conclave should still be in the deck somewhere. Ooh, okay. Alright, so here... I think I'm just mana efficient and play Poison. Yeah, I think I'm mana efficient and play Poison Tip Archer. The problem is now that they got rid of my Vraska... Yeah, and Aerial can actually just, like, kill Tristani whenever she wants. And another Procession, wow. They're playing, like, Control Knights. If I attack with my Poison Tip Archer, my opponent can use Aerial to kill Tristani. So they can block with Knight of Malice, tap Aerial and kill Tristani. Curses. Let's play Branchwalker. Alright. So we're going to do it, because if they end up doing that, then they can't make another token, so... At some point, I do think I'm going to have to just attack, like, all out, but... So let's see if she decides to... Excuse me, Mr. Sunshine. Let's see if Mr. Sunshine decides to kill Tristani here or make a token. Yep. So that's unfortunate, but I am pinging them down. Sure, Knight of Grace, yeah. I'm lucky that they haven't been able to activate Profane Procession just yet. I'm wondering whether or not I should just, like, attack with everyone, except for the poison tip archers, and hope that the triggers alone are worth it. I think I'm going to. It also helps with Izoni the following turn. Yeah. So I lose, like, all of these creatures. But, for example, these are still getting through for 2 damage functionally. Right? So I'm totally fine with that. She still can't kill Poison Departure. Yep. So yeah, the plan. I mean, this is the Aristocrats' plan right here: is have a board that is difficult for your opponent to block and to not block. Because I mean, they're all the way down to 7 now. Excuse me, they're all the way down to 5. So. Playing out Izoni, getting a bunch of things, I can just attack in with impunity, pretty much. Because my opponent's in like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I can even play Llanowar Elves as well. Contempt. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I do still think that I get in while I can. No, not with you. Because even if they block, they're still going all the way down. So even if they have another contempt, I think I should still be able to win. So no, unfortunately they can just Ariel on Poison Departure. But cool, yeah. I could have sacrificed in response with Izoni. I had enough triggers that Izoni would be able to sack 3 things in response, and they would have died. So, I mean, I'm very glad that we got to see different angles of the deck. That was exactly what I wanted to show off. I'm super happy about that. We're not gonna buy a pack because I still think it's correct to start saving for the new set that's going to be coming out. So. We're going to go on over to the patron page, where I'd like to thank my lovely patrons for their continued support, especially Salamander and Zoraga. I literally said Soraga. If you'd like to join them supporting the channel, you'll find links to that in the description down below, along with links to my Discord server. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by tapping that like button, adding a subscription to your mana pool, casting one of those comments in the comment section down below, and until next time, all will be one.